They thought it was just a harmless prank. A few bored kids, a sunny afternoon, and a row of beehives they decided to destroy. But what they didn't know was that one of those hives wasn't like the others. One hive was built for revenge. If you've ever wanted to see karma hit back harder than anyone could have planned, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle in. Because today, you're about to hear how one quiet beekeeper taught some local bullies the sting of true justice. Before the swarm, my friend's father, let's call him Martin, wasn't just a beekeeper. He was the beekeeper of our little hometown. You know, the type of guy who's so patient, so gentle, that even nature seems to calm down around him. That was Martin. His bees were his pride, his therapy, his livelihood. Rows and rows of hand-built wooden hives sat on the edge of a wildflower field just beyond town. You could stand there in summer and hear the soft, steady hum of thousands of wings working in harmony. It was peaceful, a kind of peace most people never get to experience. But as every small town knows, peace doesn't last long when boredom sets in. In our town there were 3 boys, Eddie, Kyle, and Marcus. They were the kind of kids who thought the world was their playground. The kind who'd carve their initials into park benches, throw rocks at passing cars, and think it was all just fun. You could see it in the way they smirked when adults tried to scold them. That smug, "You can't touch us" look. Martin had caught them wandering near the hives before. He'd warned them kindly. "Boys, these bees are working creatures. They don't deserve to be disturbed." They nodded, laughed, and ran off. And for a while things were quiet. Until one morning everything changed. It was early summer. Martin drove out to his field just after sunrise, coffee in hand, expecting to spend the morning checking on his hives. But when he got there, his heart dropped. Hives smashed, frames shattered, bees swarming in chaos. The calm hum he loved had turned into a furious buzz that filled the air with anger and confusion. He just stood there for a moment staring. The smell of honey and smoke and splintered wood filled his lungs. Years of work, destroyed in one night. Martin didn't have to ask who did it. Everyone in town knew the kind of trouble those boys caused. But there was no proof. And without proof, there was nothing he could do, except clean up, rebuild, and think. Over the next few days, Martin worked quietly to repair the damage. He never yelled, never complained. But you could see something had shifted behind his calm eyes. See, Martin knew bees better than anyone. He knew their temperaments, their instincts, their thresholds. And he knew one thing for certain. Every creature, no matter how small or gentle, has its limits. He started researching, calling contacts, and within a few weeks, a new hive appeared at the far end of his field. It looked the same as the others, but this one was different. These bees weren't the friendly, docile kind that greeted him each morning. They were imported from a distant country, a notoriously aggressive breed. The kind that you do not mess with. Even Martin kept his distance. He never harvested their honey, never opened their hive. He called them his guardians. And everyone who knew him just thought he was being poetic. But Martin had other plans. Few months passed. The field bloomed again. The bees went about their work, rebuilding. And then one sweltering afternoon, just as the sun began to dip, it happened again. Martin got the call. Another local had seen a group of kids running from the field, laughing. He drove out there, and sure enough, several hives were tipped over. But this time, something was different. There was a low, angry roar coming from the far end of the field. The guardian hive was awake. Thousands of furious bees poured into the air, darkening the horizon like a living storm. Martin knew enough to keep his distance. He watched from his truck as the swarm rose, angry and alive, before it darted off in the direction of town. It didn't take long to find out where they'd gone. A few hours later, Martin decided to drive through the neighborhood. Just a quiet drive, nothing suspicious. When he turned onto Eddie's street, he almost laughed out loud. There they were, Eddie, Kyle, and Marcus, sitting miserably in the front yard, their faces swollen and covered in white ointment. Their arms looked like maps of red welts. They weren't laughing now. Their mothers hovered over them, panicked, waving towels and applying ice packs. One of the boys had tears in his eyes. Another was too embarrassed to look up. Martin slowed his truck, rolled down the window, and with the calmest, most polite smile, gave them a friendly wave. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" Then he honked once, cheerful, almost musical, and drove away. By the next morning, everyone in town had heard the story. Those boys got stung by bees. Serves them right. They should have known better. And everyone also knew whose bees they'd messed with. But here's the thing. No one said a word against Martin. Because deep down everyone understood. This wasn't cruelty. This was justice. Those boys trespassed. They destroyed. They caused harm. And they learned their lesson, delivered straight from nature herself. From that day on, no one ever went near Martin's hives again. The field stayed peaceful. The bees kept working. And those 3 boys, they kept their distance every time they saw Martin's old pickup truck coming down the road. Sometimes justice doesn't need words. Sometimes it just needs wings. I still remember the way Martin smiled that day. Calm, kind, almost fatherly. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't file a report. He didn't need revenge in the traditional sense. He simply trusted the balance of things. Because nature has a way of correcting itself. And those boys, they learned that some lessons are best learned the hard way. Maybe that's the real sting of this story. Not the bees themselves, but the idea that sometimes when you hurt others for fun, you end up hurting yourself far worse. Karma doesn't always come in human form. Sometimes it buzzes. If that story made you smile, or if you think those boys got exactly what they deserved, hit that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the sweetest revenge you've ever seen someone get? And of course, subscribe for more true stories of justice served cold. Or in this case, stung.